One of the reasons we started Open Mind Teens was to bust the myths surrounding approaching therapy and to encourage more people to seek help. What better way to do that than to interview someone behind the scenes? Today, we'll be busting 10 myths surrounding approaching therapy with a psychotherapist, Alokika Bharwani.
I'll just start then. So the first question is I wanted to know what are the most common reasons that people usually approach you?
So, therapy is on a continuum from the time that people just come to when I have a life stressor, suppose, okay? I'm having issues with my job, I'm having issues with my family, I'm having issues with my interpersonal communication, I'm having issues, some environmental problem has come, okay? This is what we call life stressors. And then it's what happens to me when I think about these life stressors,
Right.
right? Am I being able to deal with them effectively? Am I being able to reach the goals that I want to reach to? And there's clarity in my thinking. So starting from the life stressors to profound mental health issues, these are the reasons why people come and approach you to therapy.
I'm going to ask what do you think is the most like basic reason, like trivial reason someone has approached you? Like we know people approach you for genuine mental health problems, but what would you say is like the most trivial thing someone can approach you for?
I don't think there's anything trivial really. They might come to me saying, "Oh, it's a really silly problem," but
Hmm.
actually, when you look into it and you go deeper into the issues, there is something that we see. Not everybody comes to therapy just because they're sad.
Yeah.
They come to therapy also because they just want to get better. So I may be at C, but I want to get to E. I'm just saying. Doesn't
Mhm.
mean that they have to come with some problems. They can also come to say, "Listen, I want to get better." Right? And I want to do better. So I don't think there's anything that we can classify as trivial problems.
When do you think people should like self help? So basically, what kind of problems would you suggest that people go to? People like do self help or search up on the internet or go to their friends or family. And when do you think that it's best to like come to a professional therapist?
So I think when we tell them, you have to check with the intensity, frequency, and duration of the problem. Okay.
Okay.
If your problem is interfering in your day-to-day functioning, if you're not being able to do things that you would like to do, right? If you find that your thinking is becoming so disturbing to yourself or your behavior is getting problematic, then definitely seek a therapist. I'm not even getting to the profound mental health issues that if you're having self harming thoughts and also for sure. But just on a general level, that if you feel that, I'm not being able to function, I'm not being able to do things properly, I'm not being as effective, then definitely don't think so much.
Have you ever had a situation like how often do you think someone is uncomfortable with talking to you, and how what methods do you use to make them more comfortable with the problem that they might be having and to open up?
So I think a lot of, you see, most people who are informed about what therapy is know, and they come with a sense of ease very often. Sometimes even knowing what therapy is makes them very uncomfortable to open up to a stranger. So of course, there are a couple of things that we offer. That is a part of our ethos, as we say, is unconditional positive regard, non-judgmentality, and safety. Safety is very, very important. Till the client doesn't connect with you and feel safe with you, they're not going to open up to you, right? So what we offer them is continuous safety in the environment. That whatever you say, it's confidential. Whatever you speak is not going to be judged. And then it takes time to build rapport. So a couple of sessions just going in, connecting with the client, offering them a space to hear them really. And I think it's very important for therapists to be attentive, to be able to show that they're interested in what the client has to say. So I think when you offer them that space, there's a tendency for human beings to feel safe. When they feel safe, they will open up. I mean, think about you guys also. I mean, until there's no safety in friendship, how will you open up?
Right.
Yeah.
So we were also thinking this might overlap with what you had said, but are there any common misconceptions that they would have before, opening up to you? Because I'm sure a lot of people have very common misconceptions about like therapy, which prevents them
Yes,
from there.
sometimes they feel that we should have like the therapists are going to fix us. So we always tell them we are not here to fix you guys. So we don't have the answer to your life. You are the architect of your lives, right? Secondly, confidentiality. please, will you go? They're very, very worried, especially in Indian context, that will what we say to you stay with you, right?
Right.
The other thing is they feel that we are the ones who are going to probe them and ask them questions. Yes, of course we do that also, but we collaborate together. So you come in with what you'd like to talk about. So sometimes they feel that okay, you are going to ask us questions and we'll answer. And this is not an interrogation; it's a
Right.
collaboration. So I think we have to make them understand that we have to move. This is not interrogation. I have to collaborate with you. So that takes a couple of sessions for them to really understand what therapy is and what is the whole
Right.
understanding around it. What does it mean? So I think some of the myths that, like you said, people have is that therapists are going to fix me. This is going to be an easy. This is just going to like I'm going to fix myself. It's a linear process. That means there's step one, step two, step three. Therapy doesn't work that.
So the next thing is basically, like, how often do you encourage like talking the problems out, and like for what problems do you think that talking it out is just not enough, or like when do you think that some other intervention might be required?
That's a great question, Ria. I think trauma is something that we look and say that talk therapy does not have a lot of, not always, but the efficacy of talk therapy is sometimes limited when it comes to very deep trauma. So, with that, we use what we call somatic therapy, which is a lot of body work that we need to do with them, and role playing. And so, that, because see, suppose if you have somebody who's had deep trauma, okay, like let's say a victim of violence, we don't expect them to talk about the incident again because you're creating that kind of turmoil within them all the time, and it's not a safe space within their body then. So what
Right.
we need to do with them is a lot of body work, right? And these are their somatic therapists who are trained in that, who work with that. So I think trauma has lesser efficacy only with talk therapy. Talk therapy is a part of it, but there have to be other interventions also.
Do you think there's like a line with which, given that we are not professionals, right, we can just give advice to the best of our capacities? Is there a line that we have to draw with which there's things that we can't handle and we should then, advise them to seek help?
The best therapists are the ones who realize their limitations. Never forget that. The best therapists are not the ones who are credentially very good. The best therapists are also the ones who know their limitations, who know that this is what I can deal with and this is beyond my capacity now. So yes, if you see that there's deep trauma, if you see there's immense mental health problem, if you're finding that they are getting very anxious or dysregulated or self harm, please, please, please tell them to go talk to somebody else, to a professional who knows how to handle it. Interpersonal problems, I think you guys may be able to deal with if there are issues with their parents, maybe issues with their partners, or issues with school. Maybe you guys can talk them out, talk with them, give them a safe space. But if you find the problem is stuck getting repeated again and again, or if you're seeing any kind of violence or abuse or deep trauma, or you're finding that they're unable to get through their blocks, or they're talking about self-harm, please, please refer them to somebody professional. Yeah.
Makes sense. So the next thing is also, are there any like off the table conversations? So like, is there ever a situation where a client is not allowed to talk to you about something, or there's something that they can't tell you?
No, there's nothing taboo ever, ever. So whatever you bring to the table, we will hear it out at least. So there is
Oh,
no taboo. There's nothing. This is your space. You own it. You can say what you want with it.
That's
You know.
and there's the
Yeah.
the confidentiality of what they bring is maintained, right? You have like a counselor participant.
Only time we break it if we see any homicidal or suicidal intent. That if you're going to harm somebody else, if you're going to harm yourself, it is our right. It is within our jurisdiction, as we say in therapists, to break that confidentiality. Yeah. Otherwise, confidentiality is maintained at all times. Yeah.
And so what advice, because like our entire project is based on like breaking stigmas for seeking help. So what advice would you give to someone, let's say, who has inhibitions and is seeking help for like the first time? So is there anything as like a therapist that you would tell them?
So first, I would tell them this is a wonderful time to seek help, because if you've had, there was a lot of time people would think, I don't want to walk into a therapist's office. Now you don't even have to walk into it. Teletherapy is up and about. Sitting in your safe space in your house, you can access that at any time. So please don't hesitate, to pick up the phone and call and speak. Secondly, talking about the problem exposes. Always remember, problems work in secrecy. The bigger the secret, the more the issue, the more the turmoil. The moment you release it, you'll find that you're released of the burden also, because you share it with someone. That's just how human natures are. We are wired for connection.
Right.
Right? So please talk about your problems. Please discuss your problems. Please expose your problems, because problems, if not come out in the sunlight, will grow in that dark shade and they will take over you. But the moment you expose it to sunlight, they will get disinfected automatically. Otherwise, they will infect you and they will grow as pus inside of you. But if you really want it to be disinfected, bring it out to the sunlight and let it be exposed.
That makes sense. That's
That's a very nice way to put it.
a very nice way to put it. Okay, thank you so much. That was all our questions.
Thank you so much for listening to this interview. We hope it provided you with some clarity as to what approaching therapy is really like. Remember, it's always okay to seek help.